today on Live Conversations, we're zeroing in on agro exports, practice, and issues. As an expert giving government attention to the agro industry, do you see any window of opportunity for exports, agro exports specifically now?
Thank you very much. There has always been a window.
Okay.
That window is actually expanding. It's not shrinking.
All right.
At independence, agriculture was earning 93.7% of total foreign exchange of Nigeria.
Okay.
And then we abandoned agriculture and faced oil. From that time till now, total contribution of all the non-oil export, both products, services, solid minerals, and everything, obviously less than 20%. So that is the situation. As we speak, the opportunities are there. They are still there. Even during COVID.
Okay.
Agro products are going out of Nigeria. There was a shipment of yam and other items that left Murtala Mohammed International Airport 2 days ago on Ethiopian airline. Some of it left last week on British Airways. So the thing is that there is no end to it. You see, food business is one business that will never die for as long as there are human beings on earth. That's where the advantage lies. We have everything. To the extent that someone said that only few countries in the world can match our endowment in terms of natural resources. And that's the truth. There's nothing, it's nothing but the truth. So the point is, it depends, the individuals. What oil has done to us is, it has made us lazy.
Okay.
It also have turned us into short-term people.
Wow.
We want it to happen now. In fact, if you tell a Nigerian to do a business and then you say, when shall the profit come? If you say 90 days, the person will shout as if to say that 90 days is eternity. That's how far we have gone. Exporting is a process, it's not a transaction, which is the reason why people who are in a haste should go and look for something else to do, maybe Yahoo or something else, because you also have to study. You don't have a choice. So it's about, some people will say, we hear that there's money in it, so they dash in with their money. When they are dashing out, they'll be dashing out without their money. So that's the opportunity is there. The expansion of agriculture by investment and other things that governments are doing obviously means that there's going to be increase. For example, CCMC, we are doing currently about 300,000 tons. I think cocoa about 240 and the rest of them. And there are signals in the market that there are gaps that need to be filled, which means that whatever amount of increase you're able to do from the agri point of view, you can actually use it to fill in the market. So as far as the opportunities, always there.
Can you mention some of those signals you spotted? You said there are signals that show that there are gaps to be filled. For you,
for example, like cocoa now, I just gave you the statistics. There are some countries, Turkey, Japan, Indonesia, and Malaysia, which NEPC just found out that together they did $1.75 billion in cocoa last year. Out of that, we got only 7.5. 7.5 is not the quantity of our cocoa production globally. Of course, it is the same oil that pushed us to the position where we were. We were the highest producer of cocoa. Now, Côte d'Ivoire alone is doing 60%. Then Ghana, then us. So that's why one of my constant prayer points is that the oil wells should dry, so that it can drive some sense into our head. And I mean it really, because it's you don't have control over what happens in oil. You just wake up one day, you hear that oil price has crashed. It doesn't happen like that in other businesses or in agriculture and the rest of them. So that's that. The opportunities are there.
People would also begin to wonder if we have capacity. Yes, we've spotted these openings, but do we have capacity? Or are you expecting that these recent interventions from government would actually take care of that? Do we have capacity to increase the quantity of what we export?
We have more than capacity to do just that and above. But one thing is to have capacity. Another thing is to use it. You know, if you build a house and there's a NEPA pole in front of your house, unless you run a cable from the pole to your house, you won't have light. So if it's about capacity, we have it. Do we have, okay, I saw today or yesterday that oil price has gone up to about $33, and I got angry that the thing is beginning to go up again. What it means in Nigeria is that we shall soon stop talking about non-oil export. That is the truth.
Okay, now we have different agencies of government driving various policies. So we have the Export Promotion Council, CBN, coming up with their own export policies. We have the Exim Bank, Nigeria Exim Bank, also with its own, you know. It seems like we have, you know, pockets of ideas on what to do, you know, pockets of policies all around. Having been in the sector these 34 years, what would you say is the missing link in terms of policy, you know, that would stimulate exports, export trade in exports? What would you say is the missing link in terms of that national policy for agro produce?
The missing link is synergy.
Wow.
Government agencies work in silos. Let me give you an example. When CBN took a decision on foreign exchange, it took a new policy on foreign exchange in export, I think that was 2 years ago or so. I am not sure that the Export Promotion Council was contacted or consulted before that happened. I'm not sure there was enough this thing because it just threw a very big confusion into the market. That's just an example. So I think that the more we're able to work together, the better. I mean, the last meeting I attended in Abuja before the lockdown, I told them, I said, look, the challenge we have is that it looks like public sector agencies seem to be competing for popularity. That is a very big problem. So collaboration is the name of the game. Even companies are collaborating with competitors to succeed. And then for public servant, I don't see any basis for not collaborating. So that is.
So you're saying our policies are good enough?
Lack of interagency collaboration is where the challenge is. That's it. It's not that we have enough policies, we have enough this thing, but there are certain things I don't want to say on air. To be very, very sincere, there are certain things I don't want to say on air because if you look at it, is that I say exporters, you are on your own. And when the NEPC rep who was also there to speak came up, he said they shouldn't mind me, that they're not on their own. But we made it as a joke. But the truth is that we cannot continue to do the same thing and be expecting different results.
Okay, let me take a question that as we go on, I'll just take questions that come on so that we don't miss any one of those questions. So we have Emmanuel Maya saying, what are the major export commodity items in demand and in which agro subsector does Nigeria have competitive advantage?
I think I see comparative advantage.
Oh, comparative. Yes, comparative advantage.
Okay. Emmanuel, there are about 7 agricultural produce that Nigeria is the largest producer in the world.
Okay.
Which we are not reckoned with as major exporters in those commodities. Things like cocoyam, things like yam, and a whole lot of others. Now, if you say major, that would be where the money is coming from now. But for me, for somebody who is serious, who wants to take export as a career, those places may not be where to go to. The places to go to will be in order. Share not. Nigeria produces 60% of the world share, over 300,000 tons. Share is like a West African product. America doesn't, but America have 2 research institutes for it. So it is right now. Okay, we can say cocoa, cashew, sesame seed, ginger, and the regular. But if anybody wants to go into export and then gets down to study, I mean, in one of the last classes we ran as orientation for the new certified exporter course, which we are running, one guy said, look, that the demand they have for snail, that they are unable to meet it.
Wow.
That they are unable to meet the demand they have for snail. So it's actually, the thing is that like this, our being in a hurry does not give us time to settle down. Look, the riches are in the niches. It's not in what everybody is doing.
Yeah.
Now, about comparative advantage. We have comparative advantage everywhere, but we lack competitive advantage. That's where the challenge is.
Oh dear.
Everything we need, God has given it to us.
What would we be doing competitive advantage?
Okay, for example, as now it's cheaper to bring a container from China to Tinkan than to move that same Tinkan, that container from Tinkan to Oba in Ikeja. I'm not talking about going to the north. So if you buy this in the north and you want to move it down to Lagos, for example, you pay through your nose. By the time you finish, your cost, in fact, I can tell you, go and find out some commodities at a certain time in the season. By the time you are done, your cost is higher than the international market price. Wow. So that's the challenge lie in the competitive advantage. Well, people who have sound knowledge of logistics and supply chain management try to get around it by assuming that we had train that runs, let's say, from here to Katsina. If you buy ginger and I buy, if you put your own in a truck, a trailer, and I put my own on the train, I've gained the advantage over you immediately. So that is that. So, but is it doable? Yes, it is. People are doing it. But the fact is that
if I take your example, I would begin to see that you're saying that with the rails coming to be in Nigeria again, that would obviously improve our comparative chances when it comes to export trade.
Well, that will help. That will help. In fact, yeah, that will help the road. Because if this road was, if it was to be a human being, it would have started crying a long time ago.
Reduce the costs of those goods, transporting them to wherever they are exported. Don't you think so? The overall costs.
Yes, yes.
It would also improve on that.
No, of course. I mean, if you spend less, if you save a reasonable amount of money from transportation, of course you make a lot more money. You make a lot more money.
Okay, so I remember that it's also been raised that a lot of our exporters, take their wares, their cargoes through the Benin Republic ports, the Ghana ports, and all the neighboring countries, for whatever reason. Now, obviously, the lockdown is here. We've closed our borders and all that. What do you think we should be doing to ensure that our exporters do not use outside ports? They use our ports within the country.
Well, I mean, under normal circumstances, it would be madness for anybody to take goods from Nigeria to go and ship in Ghanaian ports. But you know what? Your national integrity globally is very low.
Wow.
When you call someone to discuss export transaction and he say, where are you calling from? If you say you are calling from Nigeria, his antenna comes up immediately. You want to check whether you are, in quotes, one of them. So that is the big distance. So Ghanaian products or Nigerian products that are shipped through Ghana, funny enough, in some cases, attract higher prices.
Wow.
And as better quality. So it's not because of it's not a pot problem that drives people to do that.
Okay.
But
it's a national integrity problem.
If we speak about the airport, it is the same thing. Some cargo planes drop things in Nigeria and they go to Ghana. The reason is that the charges in our airport are out of this world. So cargo planes come and go. But I'm aware that there are discussions going on to slash those charges and see if look, people internationally want to be able to replace yam chips. I mean potato chips with yam chips. Where would the yam come from? So the opportunity is there, but I think from the policy angle, a lot of work needs to be done to be able to assist the exporter to export profitably and remain in business.
And speaking of assisting the exporter, remember you also want stress the need for government to go into trade agreements, purchase licenses for exporters, so that you made reference to some other countries who do the same. What's the situation report now? Has it improved? Have we found a situation where government is making an effort in that direction?
Well, I'm not sure I said purchase licenses because there's no need for that. But the point is that government can deliberately target a market, do something. When Nigeria and Malaysia was competing for the Portuguese market in palm oil, Nigeria had an advantage of proximity because Malaysia is very far away. Government took part of the freight charges to make their people competitive to be able to get a chunk of that very particular market. Today, where are we? We're importing palm oil from Malaysia.
Wow.
Everybody knows the history that in 1962, Malaysia collected their first palm fruit from Nigeria. Everybody can sing about it. So that's just a typical example. For example, now that NEPC has been opening in Turkey, Japan, Indonesia, and Malaysia, I expect that they should sit back at this point in time to be planning strategy on how to help exporters penetrate this market. That's what it ought to be. See, the fact is that government does not export. It is the private sector that exports. But government need to assist private sector to do that export because eventually the foreign exchange will end up in the Nigerian economy and help to run the economy. So that is that. Have I seen so much effort in that direction? There's been a couple of, the International Trade Center had done some projects with NEPC. CBI has done some projects with NEPC to improve capacity of exporters to penetrate some specific markets like this thing. There's been various AGOA training and seminars towards penetrating the US market. But my worry is that we need to have that reflect in our numbers. We need to have those reflect in the figures.
I know that customs processes, for so many people, they feel that customs processes and documentation does not encourage trade facilitation in terms of export. What opinion do you hold?
You know, I pity that agency really, because they are battered from left and right. Government is pressurizing them to hit a certain figure in terms of revenue. Importers want to get their goods out without paying duty. Everybody's in a hurry around them. But the point is that they need to improve in the area of trade facilitation. That improvement will also involve capacity building for some specific staffers. I'll give you a very sad example.
Okay.
One of my clients was trying to export some processed food item, all those gari and the rest of them, to the US. He had everything he needed, including certificate from Food and Drugs of America. So under normal circumstances, those containers should just go without stress. But the custom officer held it. He said that because our beans is not going to Europe, that this one should also not go. And when I spoke to somebody, the person said, well, you know what happens? That some officers turn rumors into policies. Because the thing is that there's a very, very large room for discretion. So if a person lacks capacity in the technicalities, then you are likely going to have a challenge. So for me, they are not doing that badly. The fact is that they have a handful, but I'm saying that they can do a whole lot better. And again, export does not account for revenue for them.
Yeah.
Everybody says, where have we reached? What figure have we reached? And the rest of them. So it makes things difficult. If you were them, you probably would pay more attention to import. But they need to realize that for the survival of the nation, we actually need to do export than import.
Yeah. Okay, so let me take this question that's here. It's also from Emmanuel still. He says that under the Obasanjo government, one of the fiscal policy interventions was the export expansion grant. Countries like China, Brazil used EEG to grow their economies. Why? I'm sorry, I need to get that right. Why did EEG fail in Nigeria?
Well, we have a challenge. Things that work elsewhere don't seem to work around here. It's not only EEG. EEG is only one of them. See, the truth is that EEG, when the Export Promotion Council was set up in 1986,
okay.
Well, 12, it was a basket of incentives, 12 of them. EEG was only one of it. That's the only one that has worked. In fact, but worked with one leg all the time. Now, countries like Australia and the rest of them, they talk about basket of incentives. Now, the EEG, did it help? Yes, it did, but not to the extent of the references that it's making. Where else it has? In 2005, I was part of a team that did an impact assessment of export expansion grant, going around companies to see how much the export expansion grant had helped them to improve on their capacity by buying machinery and the rest of them. So we saw visible this thing. But the challenge is some people in the public sector see incentives as a waste of funds. I recall being in a meeting where someone from public sector said, last year we wasted 11 billion on EEG. And I raised up my hand and said, sorry, you did not waste. You invested. Because there are clear evidence in some companies that there was a multiplier effect of that very particular. So that is a part of the challenge, that some policymakers need to understand the whole idea. It is not possible to have 100% return. Even if you have 30, it means a lot. So the point is that EEG has had it is quite sad, because when that policy came out, I don't want to mention them. I know 3 companies that signed agreement. There's a milk company that said all their product that will be used in Africa, they will produce it in Nigeria and export it from Nigeria. There was an oil company, there was this one. 1 month after they finished signing all those agreements, something got wrong with EEG.
Wow.
So the consistency has been a very, very serious issue. That is just the reason. It is just like every other thing that we do around here.
So how do we solve it? That's a puzzle that needs to be solved, else we may just not be moving forward.
How we solve it is by everybody who is involved understanding that our life literally is depending on what we are doing. Part of what will solve it is putting the nation and its people first. We don't lack good policies at all. It is an implementation that is. Look at even this COVID thing. We announced that people should do this, do that, wear face masks. There's a general lack of culture in practically every aspect of life. So that's a reflection. Yes.
We have a lot of orientation to do. I'm sure that some people who are listening in and would like to know exactly what makes a product or a produce exportable. Because if someone were to begin a business and all that, what would actually, as a consultant, what do you think makes a produce exportable? And as you answer that, I would like you to also talk about our shrimps and our fish. We hear often that we have the best species that are on demand everywhere. And how much have we paid attention to that area too?
Okay. We seem to also be depending a lot on raw produce. We need to start discouraging export of raw produce. You cannot be wanting to create employment and then be shipping employment out of the country. That's what we're doing.
Wow.
Like, for example, if you go to the places they process cashew, you see that it's labor intensive.
Yeah.
Highly labor intensive. Go to places that they process cassava. It is highly labor intensive. So, but when we keep shipping raw produce, we'll be shipping jobs. So we need to create special incentive for people to go into the processing. So, and once you get to the stage of processing, most of the quality issues disappear. Now, if we're talking about raw produce, agro produce is what we're talking about. One key quality challenge for agro produce is moisture. Moisture. Go and check every one of them. You'll find that for moisture, what you see is MAX, maximum. It cannot exceed that very particular figure that is given. Cocoa, for example, once you exceed it, then what is going to happen is it gets moldy, gets slaty, and then you have a problem in your hand. It may not be totally rejected, but you get a discount, a massive discount on your pricing. That's why you see some people who buy produce, when they come back to Lagos, for example, they will have to re-dry them to achieve the moisture level. Another major thing that people don't want to see is admixture, foreign bodies. Foreign bodies. And again, it is food we're talking about. So almost every particular food has a color. Once it goes out of that very particular color, it has, some of them have, there's a particular flavor and odor that go with them. These are all the things that, because it is food that we're talking about. So that is that. So the quality parameters are international. There's no room for those who are operating from third world countries. So once your buyer sends you a letter of credit and say, this is the quality he wants, he will not take anything short. If he does, he will lose money.
Yeah.
So that is it. But let me say here that people should not dabble into export without understanding it. That's exactly the reason why people lose money. That's why people lose money. People should not dabble into it without learning it. Which kind of business do you want to go into without learning? Even carpentry, even tailoring, or whatever it is. So, but people, you know this, they say there's money, you need to then have money. People have lost money. If in my days in the banking, I see people lose money, not because there's anything wrong with the product, not because there's anything wrong with the market, but because they are in a hurry. If cocoa is supposed to be dry for 6 days, they are in a hurry. They do it for 3 days, package it. When it gets there, you have put your fate in the hand of the other person, and then he will deal with you accordingly.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. It's been quite a time with you, and I'm tempted to ask one more question. Has apartheid grid affected export in any way?
Yes, it did, because at the peak of it, my client was moving a container from Ido, and it took 2 weeks to get to Tinkan.
So what
that
exactly?
Means that's a broken supply chain.
Okay.
It meant that the ship that was nominated to carry the container couldn't carry it because it left. It also means that the buyer didn't receive it at the time he had planned to receive it. It means that if it was a raw material to somebody's factory, that factory, if that was the only source, that factory had to shut down. You see, that's that chain component is what we need to understand. That's why even you as an exporter, you are as strong as your supply base. Because if your supplier fails to supply you, so when you are exporting, you are actually a supply base for somebody. So when you're unable to do it at the right time, you have broken the chain.
Wow. Thank you very much.
We cannot continue to be the weakest point in people's supply chain all the time.
No, we can't. We can't. Thank you very much, Doc. I wish we could continue, but I've got messages, I've got signals that time has been up over 10 minutes now. But I'm sure that it's an interesting conversation we've had, and I look forward to another time with you on live conversations. I'm sure all our other participants also look forward to that. Thank you for your time, and God bless you, sir.
Anytime, anytime.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Until next week again when we have live conversations. God bless you, and stay safe.